Hey everyone, you're watching Whispers of Turkish Stars. We've gathered every whisper and clue for you today, so tap subscribe, share this video with a friend who loves a good tea spill, and let's dive in. Thank you for supporting the channel and being part of this conversation. The new year didn't just bring fireworks, it delivered a jolt to the gossip circuit. As the sun rose on January 1st, the internet found itself buzzing about Mert, Ramazan, Demir and Afra Saraçoğlu, a duo many fans have adored for their chemistry, their quiet elegance, and their insistence on keeping whatever they share away from the loudest corners of the spotlight. By midday, their names were trending across platforms, as a swirl of claims and counterclaims took on a life of their own. The spark for the storm, insiders say, was a private conversation allegedly relayed from Mert to a close-knit circle. In that hush-hush chat, he was said to have admitted they were navigating a rough patch, one tied to different perspectives on how the next chapter of life should look. What fueled the fire even more was a more pointed rumor circulating backstage in the industry. Sources suggested that tension had flared because Afra isn't ready for children, if at all, not now. Whereas Mert, known for his warmth toward family traditions, might be on a different timeline. That narrative spread with lightning speed, dividing online communities that have followed every interview, every event, and every breadcrumb of their relationship. Some users dismissed the talk as noise that always grows louder around high-profile names. Others drew arrows toward recent weeks, when both stars started showing up separately more often, especially around New Year's festivities. If they were truly fine, fans wondered, why weren't they photographed together? The separate appearances fanned the flames. Paparazzi frames of Mert leaving a quiet dinner with colleagues were set side by side with shots of Afra at a glittering year-end soiree. Neither photo said much on its own, but in the hands of speculation, they were stitched into a story, one of distance, one of unspoken disagreements. And with that, social feeds filled with theories that moved faster than any official word could catch. People close to Mert describe him as someone who bristles when his private life becomes public currency. According to those in his orbit, he chose silence not because he didn't care, but because he refused to lend weight to chatter that could be here today and gone by the weekend. Those same voices insist what might be ordinary hurdles in any serious relationship have been magnified beyond recognition, spun into headlines that ricochet across gossip pages. The actor, they say, is irritated by the way tabloids pin anonymous quotes onto friends of the star, as if the stories are coming directly from him. He prefers not to correct every line, they claim, because acknowledging some rumors only gives them longer legs. Afra, who has been unfairly positioned as the center of accusations about life plans, has remained publicly quiet. Those who know her say that doesn't mean she is unaffected. If anything, she is reportedly deeply unsettled by the way the topic of family has been reduced to clickbait, as though a woman's timeline could be decided by public vote. Her stance, according to friends, is simple and firm: her plans are personal, her ambitions are valid, and her boundaries deserve respect. And despite the rising noise, people from both sides emphasize the same thing: there has been no final decision to separate. Whatever this moment may be, they say, it's a conversation between two people who care about each other, not a soap opera twist scripted for mass consumption. Still, the tension in the air is something fans can feel. This isn't the first time Mert and Afra have had to address the idea of a breakup. In the past, they brushed off such talk, suggesting that their bond, whatever form outsiders assign to it, rests on steady foundations. And so we find ourselves here, trying to read between the lines again. Are we all just watching another sensational wave crash and recede? Or is this a more complicated passage that requires patience and privacy from the rest of us? For the moment, neither has released an official statement. Industry noses whisper that a joint appearance or even a brief, clear message could set the narrative straight in a second. Until then, every glance, every caption, every choice to show up or stay in will be scanned for meaning. Meanwhile, past interviews have been excavated, clipped, and reframed. On one side, Mert's earlier reflections on the comfort of family and the value of close-knit bonds resurface to be placed against today's rumors. On the other, Afra's thoughtful comments about career focus and her desire to keep certain parts of life behind a curtain are brought back as if they were fresh declarations. These moments, taken out of their original contexts, raise new questions for some and rehearse old ones for others. Have their expectations changed? Has time nudged their paths in slightly different directions? And is that not a normal part of growing up under cameras and headlines? Across comment sections, the same talking points repeat. Are they clashing over the idea of children, or is the subject simply being used as a convenient hook? Many fans argue that differences over timing and life priorities are natural, even healthy, in real relationships. Others say the press has leaned too far into dramatic narratives, turning every rumor into a definitive story. One recurring sentiment cuts through: let them breathe, not every whisper requires a public rebuttal. People who orbit the couple share another angle, one that has nothing to do with a ticking clock and everything to do with time itself. Both stars have been moving at full throttle. Filming schedules stretch into the night, brand commitments demand travel, and separate obligations pull them to opposite ends of the map. One week it's a late wrap in Istanbul, the next it's meetings and prep in another city. To those watching from afar, the distance can look like disconnection. Those closer say that's an illusion created by a camera pointed in only one direction at a time. They remind us that even the strongest connections can look thinner when there's a time crunch and too many obligations to juggle. Again, they note, there has been no final call on ending things, only serious talks, the kind any committed pair eventually faces. One truth of celebrity life is that silence is a double-edged sword. When stars hold back, they protect themselves and, often, their relationship from the loudest voices. But that same quiet invites the world to fill the void with guesswork. Sources say Mert and Afra have decided to wait, to let the wave crest and fall without feeding it. For now, though, the noise hasn't dimmed. If anything, the suspense has made people listen closer for a sound that isn't there. And yet, a single photo has the power to change the narrative in a heartbeat: a sidewalk snapshot, a shared frame at an event, a candid smile that says more than any statement. Likewise, a short, direct note would settle a dozen headlines in an instant. Until then, the only certainty is the one they've tried to repeat over the years: their private life is theirs. Whether they protect it from the glare together or apart, they've earned the right to decide what to show and what to hold close. The press keeps watch, the audience waits, the story breathes in the space between posts. Another clue people have seized on is the noticeable pause in joint social media moments. Not long ago, fans would occasionally catch a glimpse of them together, nothing flashy, just a sunlit photo, a behind-the-scenes snap, a quiet moment after a long day on set. Lately, the feed has shifted to individual frames, a costume fitting, a script table, a mirror selfie before an event. It didn't take long for tabloids to label this change a strategy of distance, a phrase that sounds crisp in a headline but may not match the truth. Those in the know push back hard on that. They say the shift was a conscious, shared boundary, an agreement to draw a line around what's public and what's sacred. Afra's recent posts, which lean into her craft, her routines, and the slice-of-life snapshots she's comfortable sharing, have been read by some as a hint, a stand-in for a statement. Friends say that's not the intention. She has, they add, spoken privately about how the latest storm feels wrong, about how vulnerable it is to have personal timelines turned into polls. She rejects the idea that privacy equals guilt and refuses the notion that a woman's ambition should be pitted against the idea of a home life, as if the two can't coexist or take different shapes over time. From Mert's corner, a similar sentiment emerges. In quiet conversations, he has reportedly voiced his frustration with sensational headlines that pull apart his relationship and lay it out on a dissecting table. He believes love can be loud without being performed. He does not want to confirm or deny every whisper, knowing that the more he engages with rumors, the more the rumors multiply. He is, friends say, guided by a simple principle: protect what is important by keeping it away from the frenzy. Within the industry, a calmer narrative is taking shape, one that frames this period not as collapse, but as recalibration. According to that view, what's happening is not an end so much as a negotiation. Honest talks about timing, about home and horizon, about how to balance two rising careers with the fragile need for quiet. The idea that they're planning, weighing, and aligning gets less attention than the idea of a dramatic split, but it rings truer to those who've watched them up close. The crisis people think they see may simply be two people trying to bring their lives into the same rhythm. And in the echo chamber of entertainment gossip, deeply personal conversations become fodder for the most dramatic take possible, which is how breakup rumors metastasize from a single sentence half heard in a crowded room. Despite the noise, messages from mutual friends continue to land with clarity. The bond remains rooted in respect, textured by affection, and not reduced to a yes or no checkbox. There is no final decision to walk away, no signed and sealed ending. What there is, they say, is space to think, to rest, to talk, to figure out what comes next without the orchestra of public opinion playing in the background. And they remind us of a pattern as old as celebrity itself: in the vacuum of silence, stories grow wild vines. Maybe that's why so many are now watching for a sign: an awards night arm in arm, a low-key dinner with no entourage, a caption that says nothing and everything at once. Until that moment, all we have are fragments and interpretations, none of which can stand in for the two people at the center. And that brings us to the end of today's deep dive. If you enjoyed spending time with us at Whispers of Turkish Stars, make sure you're subscribed and share this video with someone who's been following every beat of this story. We'll keep listening, we'll keep checking every reputable lead, and we'll be right here the second anything changes. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next one from all of us at Whispers of Turkish Stars.